Hey everyone, welcome to another stream. I know it's been a little while since I've done, well, something really classic gaming related. But yeah, I had actually finished the two games featured in my thumbnail, Felix the Cat and Wacky Races for the NES. I did that last weekend. And I was like, you know, these are really, really easy platformers. Normally, if I beat a game like this, I would prefer to do like a dedicated Let's Play video where I can, you know, sort of walk you through the game and give you tips and stuff like that. But honestly, there aren't that many tips to give in these games. They are well-made games, but also very much kid-friendly. So there's not a whole lot for me to teach. It's just, you know. So I figured they would fit the live stream format a little bit better, and then as a result, I was like, you know what, let me just combine the two together. We'll do a so-called NES double feature, and yeah, we'll just play through both of these games in one sitting on live stream, and yeah, I'll have an archive of both those on my channel as a result. So, but yeah, we're going to start off with Felix the Cat. This was 1992, published by Hudson, and yeah, very creative platformer. This actually got a Nintendo Power featurette, even actually front page coverage of the game. And also got a Game Boy version too, which is basically just a trimmed down NES version. It's got about, I don't know about half the levels that the NES one does, but it is stripped back quite a lot, but still basically the same game in terms of the levels and bosses that are still there. But yeah, it is a fun game, but for someone like myself that typically, you know, has cut their teeth on stuff like Contra and Mega Man and Castlevania and things like that, and that is kind of like my standard for base difficulty in NES games. A game like this is just insanely easy for me, and it's like I can walk through this with my eyes closed, probably. I think when I finished this game, I had like 30 some odd lives when I was done. So it is still fun, it's still a creative game, but it's one that's good for the kiddos and not for someone like me, really. But it was nice to be able to finally actually finish this game, and because I played it before, I'll fire it up once in a blue moon on a flash card or an emulator or something like that, and then I'll play for a couple levels, and I'm like, I'm bored. I'll come back some other time, because I know I'll want to cover it on YouTube. So, but last weekend I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go through the whole game. I don't care if I'm bored to tears in the process. And I wasn't completely bored to tears. I still had fun, but it's not the kind of game for me that, like, I will replay frequently, because it just lacks that edge that I need in my side-scrolling action games in particular. So, also, interestingly, I didn't know this until I got prepped for this stream, but Konami actually re-released this on modern game platforms. Well, modern as of doing this stream, so you can get it. I know definitely on Nintendo Switch, probably PlayStation 5, not sure about PC or Xbox, but they did bring it back, and the cutting room floor online actually noted a bunch of differences between the updated re-release version. Mostly just forms of, like, well, I guess they have some censorship. They actually redrew some, like, gun sprites so they don't look as violent and things like that. Changed some cannonball colors from black to, like, orange. And apparently there was a copyrighted character in this that I guess Konami didn't want to get the license to, and so they actually changed that character out to other characters that are already built into the game already. So yeah, there are some visual swaps, and I think on your second weapon in particular, your star pattern attack, that was also changed for the new version for some reason. Not really sure why. But yeah, so that's kind of a little interesting piece of Felix the Cat video game history right there. You got a re-release, and they did change a couple of small minor things. You can go to the cutting room floor to see all the side-by-side differences. It's kind of interesting. So before I start playing, for those of you guys that don't know, Felix the Cat was a cartoon series created in like the early 1900s. It was during the silent film era, and apparently he was mega popular. This was way before my time. And then he kind of, like, as Disney came in, he kind of went under the radar, he lost popularity, but then, like, he came back in the 50s, he got a redesign to what actually he looks like here in the video game now, and a bunch of new characters were introduced. I'm assuming many of the characters that are in this game And apparently he's still around. Yeah. So, apparently he was mega popular. Both times he was mega popular was before my time. And by the time I started watching cartoons on television in the 80s, I don't think he was really around too much anymore either. Stuff like Hanna-Barbera had kind of been dominating during that era for me. So, I really only ever knew Felix the Cat from the video game and Nintendo Power. Thank you, Nintendo Power. And, but yeah, I mean, apparently he still persists to this day. So very interesting stuff right there. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the game. I see Big Dogs is out there. I see Don is out there as well. Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. For those of you guys in the United States, we had our Independence Day yesterday as of doing this stream, so hopefully you guys had a good 4th of July. Had some, good fun with friends, family, got to see some fireworks maybe, I don't know. Maybe drank some beer, maybe didn't, maybe played video games, maybe didn't, I don't know. But, yeah. So anyway, let me go ahead and hit the start button right here. And just jump right into it. I will go ahead and let the story stuff play out in all these games. When I was first playing this, I thought the Doctor was actually a good guy, because I was just skipping the story, because his face is plastered all over the game in the form of clouds. But apparently that Doctor dude is actually a bad guy. He's the main villain of the game. And then the cat next to him is Kitty, so your goal, as is typical with lots of games of this era, is to rescue Kitty. So you've got these Felix icons. You pick up enough, and point icons appear. You pick up even more, and then Felix will be able to pick up a heart, which will upgrade his weapon. Also, occasionally you can bash the Doctor in the face, and he'll reveal extra lives. So we just do that enough. It's an F icon. It's always a 1-up. So that's why you'll see me actually trying to bust open these clouds as I play. But there's my first heart. Upgrades to my second firepower. Now, if I take a hit, I get downgraded back to my previous level of firepower. So that is kind of your health bar in this game. Otherwise, it's one-hit kills. And so you have to be very careful when you're playing if you're not trying to lose lives. Yes, Don, there is a lot of Felix stuff in between, that I'm not going to mention, but it's all over there on the internet if you guys want to figure it out and see about it. Felix has quite the history. It is interesting. But yeah, you just pick up icons. You can try to kill as much stuff as possible. You actually don't really have to kill anything in this game, and you don't really have to pick anything up. Although, I will say your hearts in the top left, that's kind of like... I've noticed that they do kind of like tick down, and Felix will basically downgrade in his forms. So, you do kind of want to try to pick up icons and stuff like that to refill your health bar. I think the milk will also do that, but we just got a heart, which gives us our next upgrade. So this is a car, and it's actually I actually like this form of attack because it's a nice straightforward attack. But now I'm going to be on my final attack, which is the tank, and the tank is okay. That's interesting. They said that in the new version they changed cannonballs from black to orange. I thought that the tank fired a cannonball. Maybe I'm confusing that for like boss cannonballs. So I guess we'll see when we get to a boss fight. But yeah, the tank is actually your maximum firepower. It's your highest level. But you'll notice that my hearts will continue to tick down, and when they go to 0, I'll get downgraded to my previous form. So it's like I said, you don't really have to grab anything. You don't have to kill anything. But if you want to keep your upgraded form, then you do want to actually attack stuff. You want to get the Felix icons. You want to grab health pickups and stuff like that. And here's another extra life right here. And I noticed that when you destroy... Well, not destroy, but hit the Doctor's face in the clouds and grab the Felix icon, typically, it tends to kind of go towards wherever you are in the screen, which is kind of interesting. Some 2D platformers back in the day, items would come out of objects like that, and they would just have a mind of their own. Like, they were very hard to predict. But in Felix the Cat, they're pretty easy to predict. So yeah, and these are just kind of... sort of suitcases. Apparently, there were like magic suitcases. That was a thing for Felix in like the 50s versions, where he'd be able to grab into his bag of tricks, and that's kind of replicated in the NES game when he gets upgraded. Now, these are endless pits right here, and if you drive across them, they just kind of fall. You don't want to fall through them. And so what you're kind of experiencing right now is basically like the whole game. It is, like I said, it's a really simple game, which is why I couldn't bring myself to do like a dedicated Let's Play of it. But I figured, hey, you know, good live stream material. I haven't done many live streams recently, and I've also, with live streams, I've been trying to mainly just focus on stuff that I've practiced, stuff that I'm at least somewhat familiar with, and I'm not going into completely blind. Which is why I did Slaughterfest 2011 a couple weeks ago, because I had been playing that for several nights. And it's the reason why I haven't really done much else on live stream format, because I just haven't really practiced a whole lot recently. Except for Felix the Cat and Wacky Races. I see Kenzo out there. He says, crazy how much this rips off Mario 3. I mean, that was like every 2D platformer after Mario 3 came out. I mean, I'm being a little... stretching it a little bit, but yeah, there were a lot of games that definitely try to take, especially the chonky visual style of Mario 3. Many games. Wacky Races does it, this does it, you know, people argue the Adventure Island games did it, you know, parts 2 and 3 in particular. A lot of other stuff. So, it is what it is. You know, you could argue everything that gets popular sees a whole string of other things trying to replicate it, and that's just how things work. It always has, always will. So, especially when money's concerned. My big thing about this game is, man, it's just so easy. So, but again, it is what it is. Good title for people not as used to difficult games. It is still fun, it is creative. Don says he's getting more DuckTales vibes from this. Has a little bit of DuckTales vibes, too. Absolutely. So, as far as scoring in this game, I found that you basically just want to pick up as many Felix icons as possible. Also, we're at our boss fight. Alright, so far I haven't seen any black cannonballs. I wonder if the cutting room floor is wrong about that. I'll have to go double check it later. Maybe I just mistook it for something or misread. But one thing I did figure out over the last weekend when I was playing through this for the first time is you can get extra bonus points in this by juggling enemies. So if you're trying to like really boost your score, then you want to keep trying to juggle enemies. You don't get anything special as far as I'm aware, like extra lives or anything. But, you know, if you are for some reason score chasing, that is the way to do it. You know, try to juggle... Oh, maybe they're talking those cannonballs. Okay. Alright, so this is a sort of different level format. It does kind of turn into more of a shoot-'em-up as you start actually shooting stuff like this. I think we eventually get, like, a plane or a biplane or something like that where we shoot projectiles straight forward, and that's kind of nice. But this kind of helps mix up the gameplay a little bit. Although, it is a little dangerous if you go down towards the bottom of the screen like I did, because Felix tends to hug the top of the screen as it scrolls upwards. Hey Jason, welcome back. And I saw Ronnie out there. How are you doing, Ronnie? Welcome back. Yep, there's our plane. And we just go back in. So this game has 9 worlds, I think about 3 levels each, and a boss fight on each one. So, not the shortest thing ever, not the longest either. And another extra life opportunity right here. We've already got 10 lives right now. Here we go. Yeah, when I was playing the other night, I was just kind of like, just going off the top of the screen. just skipping everything. Also, a really neat little thing here, nice little attention to details. When you kind of go off the screen to the right, the music fades out. It's pretty neat. Not many NES games did that. So there's definitely some like good production value on this game, for sure. So Hudson published this, but this was actually developed by some other Japanese developer that only has like a handful of other games under their belt. None that I really recognize as being significant, but with this game, like, they clearly knew what they were doing. Like, the visuals are pretty well polished. The gameplay is actually really responsive. It's a very snappy game, which is great. But again, my only big thing with the game is just the difficulty. I really wish more developers during this time period that made easier platformers incorporated some kind of like hidden difficulty increase afterwards. Or like you beat the game once and then it opens up like hard mode or something like that. Just to give more replay value. This game unfortunately does not do that. There we go, right back to into the fray. Again, if I wanted more points, I could try to juggle these guys. I do think Wacky Races, as far as gameplay is concerned, I think it is a little more interesting because the bosses are actually a little more challenging in that game. So there is some teeth to that game. Overall, its main levels are still pretty basic as well in terms of difficulty. But you guys will see once we get to that. And I know there's the two Flintstones games. I think those were by Taito. And I heard those are pretty easy as well. I might have to give those a try. Maybe do a double feature of those. It would actually be really fitting after Wacky Races, because Wacky Races is apparently quite an expensive game. I had no idea until just the other night. Felix the Cat's been mildly expensive for a long time, but not to the levels of, like, Wacky Races. You know, I think Felix the Cat, you could probably get a cart only for, like, 100, a little over 100. Wacky Races, on the other hand, we're talking hundreds, and, so, definitely not physical carts I will ever end up owning. Well, Felix maybe, but Wacky Races, definitely not. So it would be appropriate to pair, like, both Flintstones together. The second one in particular is the notoriously difficult, not difficult, but, well, difficult to acquire one, thanks to its price. Thanks to the world of flashcards and stuff like that, we don't need to own the games anymore to play them and enjoy them. Though, if you still feel like supporting Felix the Cat, there is the modern version. So, there we go. Yeah, apparently in the new version, this guy's cigar he was smoking has been drawn out. I'm gonna guess at, like, the request of the original license holder. Because if this stuff flew, like, if this flew for Nintendo back in the day, who was already notoriously strict about that type of stuff, like, I don't really see why anyone in this day and age would have a problem with it, but I guess it is what it is. Asylum Saint says, this feels like a solid effort for a first game from the studio that created this. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's their very first game. But yeah, it is very solid. But also, you know, the interesting thing about stuff like that, comments like that, is like, I don't know, like, this could be a brand new studio, but the guys that ran the studio or that were a part of it could have had a lot of experience prior to this game. So, maybe it's actually not that impressive. Maybe they worked on a bunch of other games that are actually more well-known and technically sound, and it's just like, you know, it is what it is. But still, it is just a really polished game and very technically sound. Absolutely, I could definitely get behind that. Yep, got a Nintendo Power cover. That was probably because Hudson was the publisher. Hudson was really in with Nintendo, you know, had been for a really long time. So, you know, they had that going for it. But yeah, that's actually how I found out about the game back in the day, because I had a Nintendo Power subscription, and that was actually my primary reading material for most of my upbringing, outside of stuff that I was forced to read for school. I'd come home from school, have a new Nintendo Power issue waiting for me, and oops, I died! Can't believe I died in this game. I'd read them the front to back again and again and again and again and again. I loved Nintendo Power back in the day, it was so good. Alright. Yeah, so one thing that is a little weird in this game is there are a lot of objects like this that you'll just bump your head on, and I'm used to just kind of going through them, like in a lot of other platformers from this era. But Felix is a little more strict in that regard, I guess. Ronnie says his Nintendo Power for him was Game Informer. Nice. I remember when I was at Funkoland and Electronics Boutique later on, and we had to peddle those to anybody that walked in. It was like, hey, would you like to buy a subscription? God, I hated those jobs so much. Game Informer actually wasn't that bad of a magazine, though. It used to kind of get crapped on a lot, but it really wasn't that bad. I go back and I check out some of the old issues again. I'm like, okay. Interesting piece of video game history. The old magazine era. I mean, Game Informer was really more like the end of the magazine era. There aren't really... It was like one of the last big ones still standing. I don't remember if they're still around. I feel like GameStop may have shuttered them. I don't remember. I don't keep tabs of that stuff anymore. Oops! I was looking at chat like an idiot. Jason says he always got GamePro. Don't chat and play, guys. Don't chat and play. Or don't re-chat and play. Yeah, I did like GamePro. I also loved Tips and Tricks. I actually, didn't really read the magazine itself that much. But they were one of the first magazines to really kind of focus on, some retro stuff. They had the Room of Doom, for instance, that would always showcase someone's video game collection. And my friends and I at the time, who were more hardcore into collecting, always loved that aspect of the magazine. The funny thing is, we would always fawn over those pictures, and now it's like I really don't care anymore. I guess for me, I have a Room of Doom now, compared to, some other people, and it's it's not special anymore. I'm actually in a kind of a mode of downsizing, for anyone that didn't see my update video a couple months ago. But, yeah, that was definitely a big thing for me when I was in my early, probably 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago now. It started probably around 2000, 2001 when I started looking at articles like that. Hey, no face Bigfoot. Michael, I have no idea how you came up with that name. It sounds ridiculous, dude. But welcome back, man. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't been up to Jackpot recently. Just trying to stay inside more. But he mentions Nintendo Force. I don't, yeah, I don't follow that. I don't know what Nintendo Force is. I'm assuming an online publication. I do know, of Pure Nintendo. One of the guys I know here, I've known for a really long time, probably 15 years now, through message boards, does Pure Nintendo, I believe. I think that's it. I do know of Time Extension because everyone and their grandmother, actually the grandmother aspect probably isn't that terribly unlikely these days, given how old everybody's getting. But everyone and their grandmother reads Time Extension and shares links, even though a lot of their stuff is pretty clickbaity. So I do know of them, but yeah, I don't follow a lot of the editorial stuff anymore. So Nintendo Force, I'll have to check them out and see what they're all about. And No Face says that ex-Nintendo writers or editors work for them, so that's interesting. You took second in Atlanta and Rochester. What kinds of tournaments were those? Were they big tournaments? A lot of big turnouts? Are you playing with 8 people again? Or, you know, tell me more. Tell me more. I need those juicy details. Especially in a game like this where I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm feeling the brain rot settle in already. Which is a shame, because, like, it's a well-made game. I was telling people when I was playing this on Twitch last week that I probably would have loved this as a kid, despite its low difficulty, because I still wasn't as experienced as I am now. I probably would have gone through this game a bunch of times back then if I had a copy. Alright, there we go. Hey, Dustin, welcome back. There we go. Darren says, I think I came across one of your old videos on a different channel. You were reviewing Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, not reviewing it, but yeah, you came across my pinball channel. And yeah, that's a really old video. Atlanta was Southern Fried and Rochester had about 80. Nice. That's cool, man. Well, congratulations. Do I still have it? No, I threw it out. Because it was a terribly manufactured piece of trash. I actually tried opening it to see if I could fix it, because it stopped working, and realized everything was hot glued together, and it was just absolutely awful. Just getting the back panel off to get into the cabinet required me to, like, rip out, I swear, like 30 different screws. Not screws, it was nails. I think they nailed the cardboard underneath the cabinet. They didn't even screw it in. I think they were nails. You had to rip the nails out. And I was like, this isn't, yeah, I'm not getting this back together, and I just threw it out. I'd only paid $50 for it at the time, and I got my gameplay out of it. And a lot of people, for some reason, stumble on that video. I don't really understand the fascination with this old stuff, because they are really not very good. But, you know, I did have some fun with it. But yeah, for anyone wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I have a pinball channel on YouTube, because I'm into pinball and have real machines and stuff like that. And so I'll do gameplay videos on those, and commentaries, tutorials, whatever. Actually, some of that old stuff I think I actually used to have on this channel. The Pirate Zizzle was one of them. But, you know, there was a point in my YouTubing where I became more focused on, like, splitting things off and having my main channel be a lot more focused. Oh, you had 2 Zizzles. Oh, wow, okay, so that explains things. Yeah, it's kind of a shame. If they had made a couple just, like, kind of minor changes, they could have been okay for the price, but too many corners cut in too many areas. It does make me glad that Stern is, once in a blue moon, still doing home edition models. Now, granted, they're significantly more expensive, but they're also significantly better built. I used to have a Spider-Man home edition, and one of my cats is being crazy. Distracted me. I wouldn't mind having another one of those again. They're fun. Alright, I haven't even been paying attention to the level that we're on. Just kind of going with the flow on this one. Yeah, riding a dolphin. He does actually float on the water, which is nice. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I don't think there are any like major secrets in this game. You've got secret point icons and some secret extra lives like this right here. But there's not really much else going on with the game. You know, no like crazy warp zones or anything, or you know, any alternate levels that might be a little more challenging or just creative and fun. I don't know. I did look up a walkthrough of this, and holy crap, that is one of the longest walkthroughs I've ever read in my life, and it's for like one of the easiest games I've ever played in my life. I was kind of dumbfounded at the fact that someone would actually spend all that time to write up a guide for this game. But, you know, I get it. This is the personality type of a lot of retro gamers from back in the day. They would make really big walkthroughs of the things that just absolutely did not need it. But it is what it is. It made for an entertaining reads. The entire time I'm going through it, trying to skim for information that I may have missed on my own. I'm like, maybe there's some kind of like hidden zone I'm missing, or like a hard mode. And he's just the guy's describing every single enemy in laborious detail and this and that. And I'm like, wow, okay. More power to whatever his name was. I've already forgotten it. He spent a lot of time making a walkthrough for this game. And it was only the NES version, too. He didn't even dive into the Game Boy one. So, yeah, gotta cover all your bases, I guess. Yeah, I was hoping to find, like, a nugget of information, and... Yeah, okay, we're on 4-3, so after this, it'll be a boss fight. No, didn't really find anything, and... What actually kind of impressed me was he didn't have anything about juggling enemies and getting more points that way. I was like, really, dude? You wrote a walkthrough that's like 90 pages long. I don't know, it might have been less, but it sure felt like it. And he didn't even have anything about the enemy juggling. Maybe I should go back and write a walkthrough for this game. No, definitely not happening. I'm not wasting my time. Oh, another extra life coming right up. There we go. 29 lives. Maybe I should, like, test every bottomless pit. Maybe there is actually, like, some kind of hidden zone I don't know about. No, we're not gonna do that either. I do like how this ship animates, though. It's pretty detailed. Looks pretty funny, too. I mean, you could always just try to juggle every single enemy as far as you can. That'll make things a little more interesting, but also slow things down a lot, too. Man. Alright, boss time. As you can see, enemies do have, or bosses, I should say. Ooh, I got blurbed. They do have iframes. So they start blinking, you can't do any more damage. Oh, it's just blobbed. He just says blob. Well done. See, your walkthrough would be incomplete because you can still technically get hit. You don't want to get hit unless you're at a higher level attack form. Alright. I'm looking up our friend No Face, looking at his results. Congrats, you got a lot of ranking points for that. Side tournament. I have no idea what the formats were for those. It's interesting though. You got more points for second place than I would have gotten for winning league in my area. I'm jealous. Alright. $30 lives and counting. Yeah, I figured live streaming this would have been a little bit better because I'd actually have people to talk to as I was playing it. So I know if I did a dedicated Let's Play of this by myself, I would have become entirely silent about not even halfway through. Like, there's really nothing to talk about. Okay, at least having somebody here. Being able to talk with me is nice. This is definitely looking a little Adventure Island-y right now. With the green grass, the sort of volcanoes and mountains in the background, the dirt patterns. Definitely reminds me of some of those later Hudson Adventure Islands. A little bit of Bonk's Adventure. Oh, that was made by Red. I think only published by Hudson in some cases. Wait, crap, now I'm getting stuff confused. Man, I've been out of it for a bit. I don't remember stuff the way I used to. Holy crap. What am I even doing with this channel anymore? Alright, let's just try to blitz through this. Oh, I do want that heart. Got it. Last second. Because you do have a timer, but your hearts are also a form of a timer for whatever current upgrade you have. So you can try to just blitz through a map like this, but your hearts are also ticking down. Alright, we're blinking. We're about to lose our upgrade. Ooh, just in time. Is this harder than Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse? By a landslide. Absolute landslide. Oh, now this is definitely looking a lot like an Adventure Island game. Parts 2 and 3. I should try to go through those games again. I don't think I've beaten either one of those in a while. Adventure Island 2 in particular is really mean towards the end. I got a comment on one of my old Let's Plays for that game from one of my regular viewers. And reinstilled a little bit of PTSD in me. Thank you, Flutterbat. Appreciate it. The end of Adventure Island 2 is just mean. Yeah, Palcho, I mean, honestly, that's a good point. Like, Adventure Island was kind of like a big deal for a lot of us growing up. It's kind of surprising that... oh, this could be bad. I don't think I've ever gotten to a boss fight without an upgraded set of firepower. Felix's little, like, balloon punch is kind of pathetic. See, this is what I get for dozing off. Well, we still have 32 lives. It's okay. All right. He's like, suckers! I won even with just a punching balloon. Alright, we'll get to the next boss with some actual firepower. But I think they said we're on World 6 now, so we still have quite a few levels to go. Man, now I'm wondering if some of these developers worked on Adventure Island. I'm seeing a lot of parallels now. Now, I feel like that just would have been coincidental because I think Adventure Island 2 came out probably a couple years before this game did. Well, actually, it might have been closer to around the same time. I know this was like 92 in... Oh no, yeah, this was 92. Never mind. I'm starting to get my logic confused with Wacky Races. Wacky Races was released in 91 in Japan, apparently. We didn't see it in the States till 92. But Felix was just 92 here and in Europe. I don't think this actually got a Japanese release back in the day. I think Konami did release the new version in Japan. This came out after Super Mario Bros. 3. Yeah, Mario 3 was like... Jeez, that game was like 88 or 89 in Japan. I think it was 90 in North America. Yeah, so that's another thing to consider when it comes to Super Mario Bros. 3, that whole comparison, is some of us are looking at that comparison from a Western standpoint, where we actually got the game way later than Japan did. And it was still like a mega hit over here. So I think games had been trying to emulate that for longer than we even realize. But I wouldn't even say it was trying to emulate Mario 3 so much as it was taking advantage of the new tech available at the time. You know, the better memory mapper chips, stuff like that. Larger ROM sizes as well in some cases. It's easy to just pin it on, oh, it was Mario 3, they were just all copying that. And it's like, it's not quite that cut and dry. We humans and retro gamers like to be vindictive douchebags sometimes and just come to the easiest conclusions, when in reality the issues are much more nuanced than we give them credit. It is what it is. Yeah, Don, that is an interesting aspect of classic gaming in general. Well, I should say the Nintendo era and on, or I could say the Japanese era, really. 'Cause the Japanese were the ones that were dominating things in console land, at least, from the mid-'80s and on. And, yeah, they would release stuff over there much earlier than here. But it was also, it was just an interesting setup, because you'd have, you know, games that just some publishers would not want to bring out over here. And then by the time someone found it interesting enough to release stateside, like, it was either old hat, or it was just, you know, maybe they had to jump through too many hoops and they got delayed and delayed and delayed, and, you know, a game that would have been released in Japan in, you know, 88 wouldn't show up here till like 90 or 91, and under a completely different publisher than what it was published, who it was published by originally. Things like that. It's complicated, but interesting too. And then you start thinking about some games having changes. You know, maybe we had censorship requirements here from Nintendo, or maybe because of our rental market, you know, they wanted to try to change the actual gameplay balance, as was the case with like a lot of our Castlevanias and Ninja Gaiden titles. You know, they made them harder stateside, maybe to combat that. So it's an interesting time. Hey, Santino. Welcome back. Yeah, it is definitely a well-made game for sure. Very colorful, you know, very snappy, nice visuals. It is on the super easy side, though, as I've been, well, I'm not really complaining about it, I'm just commenting on it, that's all. So it's the kind of game that I think, even not just for me anymore, I think a lot of people have improved their classic gaming skills because we're no longer 10. You know, we've had a lot of time to play video games and get better at them over the years, whether we realize it or not. And I think for a lot of people, this will be one of those games where you kind of play through it once, and then you'll just be like, alright, I've had my fill, I'm going to play something else. Yeah, definitely a creative little game. Jeez, I'm up to 39 lives. I don't even think I had that many when I went through this my first time. I would actually like to give a big shout out to Beesworth. He doesn't usually tune into streams until later at night. He's on the opposite side of the country. But he actually is the one that brought this up to me, and I was like, I was looking for games to try to potentially let's play or cover as live streams here. 40 lives. Yeah, and he brought this one up because he had actually just recently played through the Game Boy version. And so it kind of gave me an excuse to fire it up on Twitch because, like, we were able to see how it differs from the Game Boy game. And he basically told me, it's like, the levels that are in here are basically the same. The bosses and levels and stuff are basically the same. So yeah, that's actually kind of one of the things that got me to actually play through this game for the first time. Like, all the way through. And here we are streaming it for you guys. Something not a game I hear a lot of people talk about with regards to NES titles. I'm going to wager that it's partly due to the fact that there's, like, no challenge to the game at all. And also the fact that it's a 92 release, and a lot of stuff from 92 and on just doesn't get as much attention these days, because that's technically a late release NES games. Like 91, 92 and on in particular is kind of late era territory for NES. You know, the Super Nintendo in North America had already been out for a year or something. I don't know the exact month this game came out. But with the Genesis and TurboGrafx having already launched, and hell, the Genesis Sega CD coming out, I think the same year this game came out. You know, the 16-bit gen was like well on its way already, and not a lot of people really were focusing on NES anymore. People were actually pretty quickly migrating over to the 16-bit platforms. And, so, even, like, really good games, stuff like Shatterhands, you know, kind of got overlooked. I think that game was even, like, Nintendo Power front cover feature. Yeah, people just weren't really caring as much anymore about, you know, these NES games. And the early days of 16-bit were, I mean, not even the early days, the whole 16-bit era was really good. Start to finish, really. You always had, like, new, more innovative titles coming out with much more impressive, better visuals than anything the NES could pump out, and people just didn't care. And so a lot of these games just get overlooked, even to this day. I do wonder if, like, the difficulty even really makes a difference in the case of Felix the Cat. Because Shatterhand's a pretty tough game, but nobody talks about it because it's such a hard game. It doesn't, like, have that kind of classic Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania reputation, even though it is probably just as difficult as those games, if not more so. So, I don't know. There are still some late-release NES games that do get a lot of talk. You know, Mega Man 6 gets a lot of talk. Kirby's Adventure. I mean, Kirby's Adventure is probably one of the... I'd argue is one of the best games on the console, period. But a lot of this third-party stuff... I don't think there were as many, like, production numbers with this third-party stuff, either. I think that's another part of it. Which is why the games are expensive these days, because there's not many of them to go around. Yeah, the later Hudson stuff, like this and Adventure Island 3, not very common cartridges. The stuff by Taito in particular is, like, really up there. You know, Little Samson, take Flintstones 2. Even some of the other Taito releases around this time were not, yeah, not very big sellers, and so not many of them to go around. Hey, Crestline, welcome back. Definitely a level here where I should probably stay towards the top, because, like I said earlier, when you go up on a level like this, Felix is, like, right underneath his health bar until the screen stops scrolling, so it's kind of dangerous to actually work your way upwards. We got these goofy-looking UFO guys. It's like marshmallow UFOs. UFO dudes. Yeah, the funny thing about, you know, when the Mario comparison, the Mario 3 comparison, this game definitely, you know, and a lot of other games from the era, definitely had visual styling similar to Mario, you know, chonky, cartoonish graphics, basically. Oh! That's interesting. Apparently there isn't another form. Like on other levels, on these shoot-'em-up levels, you've got, like Felix will have like an umbrella or something, and he can still kind of float around. But not on this level, so that's actually good to know. I guess I will go ahead and pick these up then. So what I was going to get at is, before figuring that out, is that Mario 3 is actually, it's not the easiest game out there. It's, I mean, especially if you're trying to play through every single level in the game. Like, Mario 3 actually has some teeth, you know? And I think that's one of the things that also makes it such a good game, is it's not just a complete walk in the park. There is some challenging platforming to it, and, you know, even with the countless power-ups and upgrades you can stash throughout the playthrough, it you know, I don't think I know a single person that's ever gone through that game, even as an expert, and not died. Well, my speedrunner friends aside. Mario 3's got some challenging stuff to it. Alright. How many more times can I die in this game? Apparently a lot. This is kind of funny, actually. It's one-hit kills. It would be hilarious if I lost all my lives on this. Yeah, and there's no other upgraded form as far as I can tell, so I guess I really need to get these icons now. I actually need to start taking the game seriously. Man. Oh, never mind. Right as I said that, I guess guess we don't get... I thought we were getting sent back to the beginning every time we died. So I was like, oh, now I have to actually work. But no, I was able to just tank, basically. And then when I would come back with another life, I would just kind of respawn where I was. Or maybe the checkpoint was really close by. I don't know. So, never mind. Thought this game was starting to have some teeth. Interestingly, when Felix the Cat was first made, first created, not the game, but just the IP, the character, he actually had teeth. And I think starting with the 50s cartoons, comics, and whatever, they took away his teeth. And that's the Felix that we know now. You can see in the bottom left, he's got a big gaping mouth but no teeth. And if you look at the teeth version of Felix, he looks kind of derpy. Oops! I deserve that for calling Felix derpy. It is also interesting to go back and look at like those old cartoons and look at what was like acceptable and normal for cartoon characters. Like, they didn't have the polish that we're so used to these days. To a point where, like, we'll look at them now and be like, oh my god, that's creepy. Original Felix the Cat looks creepy. But, like, he's probably super cute and adorable in 1922 or whenever this first, like, you know, he first came around. Something like that, Crestline. It was either something like 1919 or something like that, or 20, 21, 22. But it's, yeah. It might have been actually 1920. I know Wikipedia said 105 years ago. So you do the math, yeah. Yeah, and apparently it was a couple of guys in Australia, too, that concocted Felix. It's interesting stuff. Those fireball things, they take a lot of hits. I just feel like it's not worth actually trying to attack them. Alright, getting close, guys, getting close. Don says 1919. The only thing about this tank is there's no way to aim it up or down, so you go into a tiny hallway like this and it's completely useless. Like, I can't even attack that guy. Alright. Get ourselves upgraded. And I believe this is our final boss with 43 lives left. Yeah, what's kind of funny about this is you can go into the bags and then... Oh! I didn't realize there was multiple rooms like that. That's actually extra funny. You can go into a side room at the boss fight. Wow. Once we collect all these, though, once we try to go back in, we'll just pop out top. So you can kind of use them like springs. Like, ooh, like that. Oops. Not like that. not how I was hoping for.
Just saying what's up. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute? What are you talking about? You commented on a video like 5 hours ago. Hey, Flutterbat. I see something out of the corner of my eye, so... I like that text-to-speech, though. I can hear the message without actually looking at the chat. Holy crap, Flutterbat, thank you so much for that, man. Much appreciated. So there we go. We just beat Felix the Cat. So one thing I also did today, I don't know if it's really going to make a difference on the archive, but I tried to start the stream immediately once I started streaming, instead of having, like, you know, the 5 to 10 to 15 minute like lead up to actually beginning the stream. That way people watching the archive just get to go right into the gameplay, or at least the introduction of the stream. Don't know how it really affected the actual introduction of the stream, because it usually takes a long time for people to trickle in anyway, so... But, yeah, Felix the Cat. Yeah, and, Flutter, I appreciate you, watching a lot of my old playthroughs. People use YouTube in kind of a really weird way, where, like, they, I think they forget that channels have, like, years and years and years of old content, and it's like, if the channel doesn't put out new content, it doesn't stop you from going and watching the old content, because chances are there's a lot that you missed. And in Flutterbat's case, like, he's actually just rewatching stuff, because some of those Let's Plays are like 10 years old now. And he gets to watch them with an updated perspective. That's cool. I appreciate you going back to that stuff, man. Yeah, that's what it's there for. It's there, you know, for people to be able to watch a long time down the road. So yeah, Felix the Cat. I will probably never play that game ever again. No, it's not sure. I probably will play it again sometime, but I don't know when. And maybe, I don't know, might even try the Game Boy one sometime just to go through it. It's like half the length at least, so it would be fun to do that just to say I've done it. But maybe I'll do like a dedicated long play of that and the Game Boy one for my gameplay only channel. I don't know. That's an idea. Haven't posted anything to that channel in a little while either. You say it's still just as interesting and entertaining as it was back then. Awesome, man. That's cool. All right. So we got my boy Milo here. Hi. He's a happy boy. When he just squints his eyes like that and gets the scratches on the sides, he's a happy kitty. And he's just gonna go right back to sleep. Alright, so we got Wacky Races now, which was the other supposed half of this stream, depending on how many people we have out there afterwards. I might keep going with a couple of other games that are similar, maybe like Mario 2 or something like that, or I'm trying to think of other cutesy platformers that I haven't played in a while. But yeah, Wacky Races is definitely a little more difficult than Felix the Cat, but it's also not that much more difficult. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. This is the one that apparently came out in 91 in Japan, but 92 in North America. It was by Atlas. So you can pick 3 different ways to go. I'm just going to start with the first one. So probably a little more replay value there from that angle. And yeah, like Flutterbat said, this is based on a cartoon, a 1960s cartoon series. And there's actually a bunch of Wacky Races games that were made over the years. Even Cutting Room Floor doesn't list all of them. Like, there's a bunch, well, not a bunch, but like 2 at least on 3DO in Japan. Alright, now the one interesting thing about this is you can attack straight forward, and you can pick up bones, and you have a Gradius-style power-up system. So on the bottom left, or the bottom middle, I can hit select and activate a bomb. And my favorite attack is actually the second one, where our character here, Muttley, basically just shoots a projectile across the screen. And it's slow to come out, but it goes through objects. It goes through hard objects, and it just goes most of the way across the screen. So, actually no, it's all the way across the screen. So we're going to stick with this attack for most of the playthrough. We'll hit select on that, and we can hover, kind of float down. Just keep mashing the A button. Reminds me a little bit of Knuckles in Sonic 3. Now, the thing that brings this game down is that, well, for one, it's also pretty easy. It's not really any secrets that I'm aware of. Like, all these pots here, you'd think, oh, Mario style, you can probably go into at least one of them, right? No, you can't. I've tried all of them. I've already gotten 2 extra lives for free. So if you play kind of slow, like, I'll wait and charge up my attack, and then move forward. That way my attack is kind of moving along with the screen with me. I think on this level there is like an illusory wall, but it's not terribly hard to figure out. I think we have to actually jump up top there. Right there, yep. Some of the music in this game is actually pretty good though. I especially like the boss music. It's definitely got slightly more edge to it than Felix the Cat's music did. A little more gritty in certain places. Ooh, that's not good. Ooh, that hurt. I still have 2 hearts though. So, oh, and I'm on the heart icon, so hit select, boom. Not only extends your health bar, but also gives you all your health back. So that's another thing that makes this game pretty easy. There we go. Yeah, this is our illusory wall right here. Another extra life right here. So yeah, this game's level of difficulty, I'd say overall the game's probably about as easy as Felix the Cat, except for the boss fights. Mainly by way of them just like really inundating you with like all the power-ups you would ever need. And some. And I'm having stuff distract me outside because it is July 5th and it's Saturday night. There are people that are really celebrating still today. It's the weekend. Alright, boss time. So, interestingly about the bosses, they actually have phases. So, at first this guy likes to jump across the screen just like that. Now he's just going to keep kind of bouncing back and forth. This is phase 2. Yep, that threw me off. I knew it was going to. Looks like he's not jumping until he's towards the other side of the screen. So that definitely threw me off. Honestly, that's probably one of the hardest bosses in the game right there. because of the pattern mix-up. That's right, we've got quicksand on this level. I think the boss of this level might actually feature the quicksand as a mechanic, which makes for an interesting dynamic on the boss fight. I know in the United States, for us growing up, that Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Mario USA, in Japan, is kind of what popularized the whole quicksand thing. But now I'm trying to figure out what was like the first video game that had a quicksand mechanic like that. Where you can get sucked in and then eventually die, or you can keep mashing the button to jump your way back out. Kind of drawing blanks. Alright, continuing on. Oops! That's right, you can't touch the cacti. You will get hurt. Yeah, in this one you can actually jump down and jump back up from platforms. It's kind of nice. Right, get our health back. And it looks like we're actually maxed out on health, so we can't actually boost up past 6 hearts. Some slightly more involved platforming. But yeah, at this point, I'm basically just picking up all the icons I can, just because I can, not because they're really necessary. I don't think they're necessary. Flutter says he would have thought this would have been a racing game. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably did. The concept behind the game is that they are still in a race, like the cartoon. However, basically right before every level, it sees them crashing. And then Muttley has to, you know, get them out of a bind. Okay, really? Maybe we have to go around the other way. Okay. Missed an extra life, but that's okay. I think I might actually be able to go under the guy. Yeah. That is pretty cool. Oh. So I just kind of stay here and hit him straight on. Oops. I think we got it. Yep. Don says apparently Pitfall was the first game with quicksand. No, I don't mean like, oh, here's visual quicksand and you die instantly. I mean like being able to jump in it and sink in it slowly, but still kind of like work your way back out of it. Like that's kind of a gameplay mechanic just in and of itself right there. Pitfall was just, here, this looks like quicksand, this looks like a tar pit, but you just fall into it like it's water and you die instantly. And I don't think Pitfall 2 actually had quicksand like Mario 2 did. Yeah, definitely some big sprites in this game, that's for sure. But you can see how the level design is like really basic. It's super blocky. It actually, after a while, after you play it for a bit, it starts to feel really like kind of cut and paste, as we would kind of call this type of level design today. There are some points where it might be better to use the bomb attack, but I just find like his roar attack or wolf attack, whatever you want to call it, bow, just to be more effective overall. Cuts through objects. I can sit much farther back. It definitely requires me to time the attack better, but I don't seem to have a problem with that. Oh, that's not good. I missed my platform. That was my fault. This could potentially be a lot more difficult without certain upgrades. Like my flutter attack. Never mind, I got it back. It's not a big deal. That gorilla looks like he could be in The Simpsons. He's got that Simpsons facial look. Anyone that has seen The Simpsons will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very distinct. Alright, next level, sort of. Next section. Yeah, if you ever have the icon on the heart and you're down a heart, you might as well just use it, because you're gonna be getting more bones as you play. We can duck right there. There, we got him. Yep. Yeah, the game would definitely be a lot more difficult if, like, they capped your hearts at, like, 3. Muttley saves Dastardly only to be yelled at. Muttley, catch that bird, or else it's no dinner for you. Alright, so Splish Splash. So we're at the start of our second set of levels. Yeah, Dastardly's mean machine suddenly breaks down. Muttley, go find a new engine immediately. Muttley mumbles and sets out to find a new engine. So yeah, that's the concept. It's still Wacky Races, except they break down before they can really do anything, so that's why it's a platformer instead of a racing game. It's actually probably for the better, honestly. Like, the NES wasn't... I can only imagine the kind of driving game they would have made for this. Probably would have been some kind of, like, weird top-down game that everybody would have forgotten about eventually. I don't remember personally liking Wacky Races back in the day. But I do kind of wonder how I would, what I would think of it now as an adult. Like, maybe it's actually, like, super secretly clever. In a way that, like, I would understand now, but I didn't as a kid. Also, I don't think you can kill those derpy-looking whales. They actually look pretty funny. Yeah, some of that Hanna-Barbera stuff was like, it was on like replays all the time on, you know, mainstream television. But I was more into the cartoons that were kind of made for my generation, like, you know, like the Disney afternoon stuff. DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, things like that, along with like Tiny Toon Adventures and, you know, more modern takes on some of those like classic cartoons. And then for some of us, that eventually moved into like afternoon anime, and then more mature, you know, cartoon series like Batman and Robin. I still liked Scooby-Doo, even though it still kind of felt dated to me growing up as a kid. I still watched stuff like Smurfs. The Wacky Races was one of those that I never really resonated with me growing up. Did watch a lot of Flintstones just by happenstance. I think that was because like my parents probably also grew up with that stuff. Unlike Felix the Cat, I have to actually move back and forth frequently and quickly. Alright, phase 2. A little too fast, man. A little too fast. Should probably just stay up top here and... yeah. Jump over him. Whoa! I did a little baby jump. They actually let you do that in this game. Oh crap! I actually died. I was not expecting that. Alright, phase 2 again. This actually probably would have been easier with the bomb. The bomb has an arc to it, so I can just throw it down on top of him. It's okay, I can probably just tank hits at this point. Yeah. Just tank the hits. Interesting thing about the water sections on this game, you can only move in 4 directions. I'm also kind of surprised that when you lose a life, you actually don't get downgraded on your hearts. That's another thing that makes the game easier. Like, there's not really, aside from losing like your flutter attack and your weapons, is not a lot of penalty for dying in this game. Now, because I've never actually continued on this game, I'm not entirely sure if you even get continues. I assume you do. It is interesting, he floats up naturally, though. That's kind of cool. Good little attention to detail. For everyone that says they hate water stages, these ones are really not that bad. Alright, boss time. Would have been interesting to have a boss that was just completely underwater, using those mechanics, those water mechanics. Got it? Alright, last set of levels for this part of the game, and then we're on to the last stretch. I mean, at this point I might even just start skipping stuff. It's like, do I even really need to spend time collecting all this stuff? Yeah, this is actually a game I didn't really pay attention to back in the day. Either when it was new, or even when I was doing my first round of collecting NES cards back in the day. I just really had no idea about this game. It must have sold really badly, actually. Given its price today, and given that I didn't really ever run into it, I guess that probably makes sense. But it wasn't until, I don't know, sometime in the last 10 years I had a buddy over for a weekend, and you know, when I was at work he would load up my flash card and just like experiment with different games, and this is apparently one of them, and he actually finished the game and told me about it. And ever since I've been meaning to go back and try to finish the game. Oh, that knockback. Thought I could maybe recover in the air. And I never did until really last weekend. Yeah, you do have to be careful though with like this part right here. If you go slightly off screen, that guy's gonna respawn and then you're gonna slam into him. Just gonna skip the stuff. Are you serious again? That's where having the bomb might actually come in handy. Yeah, I guess I'll stick with this attack for the rest of this level, because these dragonfly things are proving to be quite annoying. There, a little bit better. Now we got a visual design that reminds me a lot of like Snake, Rattle, and Roll. That green pattern. That is a game I will probably never finish. Although I should try again. Oops, I didn't see him. You know, both this game and Felix the Cat, like, picking up icons reminds me very much of, like, the first Super Mario Land, where there's, like, no animation when you pick up coins. They just disappear. And the same thing happens in this game. Having something like as simple as like a little sparkle or something, maybe like a 2-frame sparkle as you pick stuff up to make it look like they fade out, it adds, I think, a lot to just the act of picking stuff up. I do like the splash damage for the bomb, though. That is kind of nice. Yeah, well, in the first Super Mario Brothers, there's definitely not. I don't think there's one in Mario 3 either, actually. Mario 2, it's a little bit different because, like, you know, when you get coins in that game, you're getting them from the bonus game. And there's definitely a lot of animation when you pull them out of the ground, which is nice. But that lack of, like, animation and stuff just kind of makes this game feel flat, if it makes any sense. Even, like, your items in the playfield are, like, barely animated, if animated at all. Dastardly tries to head off the other Wacky Racers and is captured by desperados. Yeah, like, the crystals don't even animate. At least in Mario 3, the coins, I think, still change colors. And of course they change colors in the first Super Mario Brothers. So, like, the crystals, the diamonds, aren't even, like, animating at all. So it just gives this game, like, a totally flat feel. Having some basic animations like that definitely could have given a little more sparkle, a little more personality. Maybe having the clouds jiggle in the background, you know, that sort of stuff. Although I bet you if they did have that stuff working, the game may have slowed down even more. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Bouncy clouds. That's right, we're not playing Felix the Cat. I cannot destroy cannons in this game. Just gonna skip those. I have 15 lives. This is kind of a fun mechanic where you don't actually jump manually. It just kind of auto jumps for you. Definitely changes things up a little bit. Another boss down. I think 2 more to go. Hey, fake Mutleys. Yeah, I know there are a couple of other side-scrolling action games on NES like this that are supposedly pretty easy. I know Kid Clown is another one that's kind of like this. I thought about firing that up sometime, but I'll probably save that for another similar stream. I'll have to start exploring some of the other NES platformers that are supposedly on the easier side of things. If anybody has any other suggestions for similar games that maybe I haven't finished before, definitely drop them in the comments if you're watching on the archive. I finished a lot of NES side-scrolling games, but there's also quite a few that I have not. Especially these easier ones. The easier ones generally don't appeal to me as much anymore, I think for obvious reasons. Definitely gonna use that. I think having my bow would have been better. Or not. I think we're fine. Yep. Got it. I mean, YouTube's doing this new thing in chat where it's giving people badges by their names, and it's like, it's distracting to me. I wonder if there's a way to turn that off. I think it was giving it to people that were like the first chatters, but I think what it's doing is it's giving it to people that are the most active chatters. I think that's what's happening, so that number shifts around. But since we don't actually have a lot of chatters tonight, it's like everyone's got it. It's just distracting. Thanks, guys, for chatting with me. I appreciate it. Alright, so cacti. It would have been sweet if, like, you know, their bristles, like, animated a little bit. You know, having some of that movement would make them look... it'd stand out more than just being foreground objects that look like they're in the background. I'm just a big fan of little details like that. It just makes the experience, well, for one, nicer in the eyes, but also easier to, like, decipher. Like, are those foreground or background objects? I don't know. They're definitely foreground objects, but there's nothing indicating that, like, they could hurt you. Yeah, so it just kind of leads to, like, the real kind of flat nature of the game. Everything just is just, like, locked in time. It's like, not much animation outside of Muttley and the enemies. Oops. This is going to be a little annoying. I think this thing just keeps respawning. Let's see. No, it doesn't. Okay, good. Gotta change up my plan. These bosses do have some pretty big hitboxes. Very easy to get hit by them. Oops. Well, no, you can't expect it to be groundbreaking Flutter, but you gotta remember this did come out in 91 and 92 respectfully, so it's like... Respectively. So it's like, it wasn't a new NES game. You know, there had been plenty that had come before it that had kind of shown how things could be done. So, I do find it kind of a missed opportunity in a way, in a lot of regards. And yeah, it is kind of redundant to crap on a game that's this old, but, I mean, when you look at what was available at the time, it's like, it could have been a lot better, you know? Because a lot of other games did it a lot better, and I think they probably said games probably end up using the same memory mappers and maybe even same ROM sizes, so... Yeah, it's whatever. It's just, I like to see games being, like, as good as they can, regardless of era, you know? Going back to the bow. Ow. Flutter, it was Atlas. I assume Atlas actually developed it. They were definitely the publisher. Atlas had actually made a bunch of games, not really even using their name, because they were contracts for companies like LJN. Like, I think Karate Kid was one of them. Not Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th was Atlas. Honestly, you can kind of see a little bit of those games in this when you think about that, because those were also fairly flat games. Like, there wasn't a lot of animation outside of enemies and yourself. At least we have some background water effects now. That helps break up, like, the static nature of the visuals. Alright. Getting towards the end of the game. No, they didn't partner with LJN for this game, Flutter. They did it in the past because they were a company that wanted to make money and survive and keep their company running. Actually, I think the games that they made were decent for the time. You know, a lot of people like to crap on Friday the 13th, but it's definitely an interesting game. Karate Kid's okay for what it is. Once you know what you're doing. Anyway, I've got a Let's Play of that. So that's that. Yeah, we just beat the game. I assume coming in last place is just kind of like normal for this game. Because I guess that's the theme of the cartoon. I think that happens a lot, if not always. But yeah, you know, since I had gone through it for the first time last weekend, I kind of wanted to show it off. I'm going to actually pull up a FAQ, see if there's anything I missed while we're on to this. Let's see. Yeah, each game took us a little under an hour to get through, because we're at about the 2-hour mark right now. It's giving me, Game FAQ is giving me more recommendations. That's right, Rockin' Cats is another one that never seemed that difficult to me. I'll have to try to revisit that. Thanks for the GG, Jason. Alright, let me see if there's anything I missed. Yeah, I did notice that I quote-unquote lost the race last time I played this, but I'm wondering if there's actually a way to win the race, or if what I just got was the normal ending. MC Kids, Darren, that's a pretty long game. I mean more of these like really easy ones. MC Kids actually gets somewhat challenging. That was a Euro-developed platformer, or I don't know if it was Euro or North American, but it was Western developed and has some pretty harsh memorization requirements. Alright, let's see. I'll let you guys look at Milo. Patchouli's in the other room. Okay. No, what we did is normal. There's no winning the race. Okay, we actually did the whole thing. I thought maybe we would have lost, or maybe we could have like actually won the race, but no, you can't. Even if the walkthrough doesn't say anything about winning anything. So, and this walkthrough makes the game seem like it's challenging. Like if you don't do things in the right order, you just won't succeed. And it's like, not really. They throw you bones left and right. No pun intended. You get upgraded really fast, and really you just need a bomb and then your flutter, and then you're good to go. Alright, so when did that FAQ come out? 2001. Whew. It's almost 25 years old. But, yeah, alrighty guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and end up getting out of here. It's 10 p.m. my time. I wouldn't mind playing another game that's similar. But, I don't know, I'm getting tired already. I'm getting hungry too. I need to get some more food in my stomach. For those of you guys wondering, I am... Oh, there's Patchouli. I am slowly working on Faxanadu for NES. I think it's been so long that I think I could like go with like doing another updated playthrough of that. So I think I'm a little over halfway through that game right now, and then I might do a second run just to refamiliarize myself with it even further. And so hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll do a Faxanadu playthrough. Ronnie, most likely, yeah, most likely. But yeah, hopefully I'll get another Faxanadu playthrough here going soon for you guys. And yeah. So Patchouli's actually, she's on the floor beneath Milo, so you can't actually see her, unfortunately, but you just see her walk in. Alright, I guess I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks guys for hanging out. Wasn't sure 4th of July weekend, how, you know, what kind of turnout we were going to get, and wasn't sure how much I was going to actually be feeling doing said stream as well. But, yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. Thanks to the ones out there in particular that, you know, chatted. I do appreciate it. I'll have the archive posted most likely just sometime tonight, and I'll have it time-coded to each game, so you can go back and watch one playthrough or the other if you want. Flutter, thanks for your super chat. It's much appreciated. And, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. I guess till the next one, take it easy.